The Nintendo Switch. We all know it and we all love it. A console full of many wonderful titles like Breath of the Wild, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Splatoon 2, and of course, Calculator. There's just nothing better than a device that can conveniently play these and other big titles both as a handheld and as a console on the TV. Yes, the Switch is the perfect gaming experience. As for the online service,
Says in my script here it's
the Nintendo Switch Online service. Oh, my head hurts just thinking about it. The Switch Online has to be one of the most controversial things about the Switch era, up there with Joy-Con drift and tree criticisms. Initially, when it was revealed, it was a promising sight with the hopes that they'd be truly taking the online scene seriously, as before the Switch, Nintendo's online was mainly just used for in-game multiplayer, accessing the online store, or spot passing with people around the world using your local McDonald's hotspot and refusing to buy anything while being there. Eventually, we were given details about the service in September of 2018. It was alright. Basically, it provided us with the same crappy online play we had, some classic games which were NES at the time, limited cloud saves, a completely useless phone app, some battle royale games, and game trials which started out well, offering a week of play for games like ARMS, and then somehow Among Us was offered. Some may even say that it's kinda sucks. So, is it a good online service? Hell no. But there were two things that at least made this bare minimum acceptable: the price and the classic games. The online subscription price was only $20, which is significantly lower than its competitors. And as for the classic games, well, they were throwing many games to play, which is pretty neat. Not too big on these consoles myself, but hey, why not? Still, as an online service, this was a bit of a poor effort from Nintendo. But we shouldn't worry. I mean, this was barely the beginnings of Nintendo trying out an online service. And who knows, maybe with all the money they make and the experience they gain from this, they can then work on improving the service as a whole, right? Right.
damn it, it's still
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch Online has not changed in any way other than by adding SNES games and creating a battle royale for Pac Man and Mario, but we don't talk about Mario these days because as of March 31st, he was very much... Everything else is pretty much the same as it was before. If anything, it's worse since the day they got rid of the Switch game vouchers in the US. Like, what the heck, Nintendo? But it's okay, because perhaps there was a silver lining that was upon us with the reveal of something called the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack, which was a new membership plan with a garbage name. Yes, finally Nintendo gets their shit together as they finally fix the... Okay, they added N64 games. I mean, another console was expected, but surely this time they finally... What the heck? They added the Genesis? I guess that's alright, but surely they've made improvements to the... Oh, for f***'s sake! That's it!
What is this?
You're telling me. So the Switch Online expansion is a separate membership consisting of N64 games, Sega Genesis games, and the Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise DLC. And oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this already. But let's give the expansion pack a chance. And let's have a look at what it has to offer, if it's worth buying, and if it improves the Nintendo Switch Online service as a whole. And in order to do that, well, I'll actually have to buy it. So, I mean, it shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, $50? Hey, Nook, could I get another loan, please? What do you mean, do you a favor? So one of the biggest features to come out of the expansion pack is obviously the addition of N64 games. Yes, we have waited quite a while for the day when the N64 games could be added to the service, and that day finally arrived, yet it feels kinda underwhelming from the start. 9 N64 games were added, including some of the greatest hits, including Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and Mario Kart 64. Honestly, how cool is it to be able to play a game like Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo Switch? And even better, it has the ability to do online multiplayer with these games, so long as you have good internet. But it really is wonderful to see these games added to the service, and yet I'm not as excited as I thought I'd be about this. In terms of Super Mario 64, I've already played this because of the Super Mario 3D collection. Ocarina of Time is really cool to see return, especially since we didn't get a Zelda collection because they were too busy making another freaking Game & Watch. But I'm not gonna lie, and it's probably weird that I'm saying this, but I kinda just prefer playing the 3DS remake of this game. Mario Tennis? What the heck, this is actually good. I mean, Waluigi's in the game, so it's automatically a 10 out of 10. Yeah, these games are wonderful to have, but for me personally, there's barely a selection of games here that I would actually consider playing consistently. Not exactly gonna jump out of my bed in the morning so I could play Dr. Mario 64. Also, Nintendo, please. You need to get rid of this border. People were concerned about burn-in on the Switch OLED, and this is exactly how it happens. But OLED concerns aside, well, I mean, what is this? It's horrible. You could literally replace it with an anime border instead, and even that will make my eyes bleed less. An American background, maybe Waluigi's everywhere, or you know what? Yeah, just Waluigi's everywhere. That's a good background. But overall, N64 games are still a solid addition to the service, and the good news is, of course, that these aren't going to be the only N64 games added, as games like Majora's Mask are planned to arrive in the near future. And according to some possible rumors, we may also be seeing a lot of big N64 games actually hit the online service. So for now, it's something I personally would hold off on, at least until more games are added. Next up is the Sega Genesis. Yes, Nintendo did bring the Genesis to their console. That was a terrible joke. I think when we were told that the Sega Genesis was going to be one of the consoles added, we all had a surprise Pikachu moment, followed by a meh. I mean, I guess it's always nice to play the Genesis games every now and then, from the classic Sonic 2, because Sonic 1 clearly never existed, to games like Castlevania, and well, this looks awfully familiar to a certain other game. Still pretty fun, not gonna lie. Look, I'm not a big Sega Genesis fan, but the games themselves are not the problem here. It's the fact that they did this when a whole collection exists. It has the majority of the games provided in this subscription, along with many more. So why was this needed? And going into rumor and speculation territory, a few people have even put the blame of the high price for the subscription on these games, because Sega wanted a large amount of money for Nintendo to use these games, which I can't confirm is 100% true, but it definitely sounds like something Sega would do. But more games, I guess? Cool. What am I supposed to say now? Just show the conclusion thing. Finally, in the changes to the Switch Online service is the addition of the new Animal Crossing DLC, Happy Home Paradise. The DLC is wonderful, adding so many more features and items to the New Horizons game, and I will admit that the new DLC actually got me back into playing the game after abandoning my villagers for a year. Surprised they survived this long. Never mind, I just found someone. But yes, the DLC is wonderful in itself, but there is an issue that I have with it being part of the subscription. Now, don't get me wrong, this has potential if Nintendo wanted to do a thing where they added more DLCs to the service for free. Making other DLCs like the Sword and Shield or Breath of the Wild expansion passes free to play makes a great incentive to get people to consider the membership. But my problem is what happens when you no longer continue the online subscription. It's stated that once the expansion pack subscription has expired, you will lose access to the DLC, which may not be too big of a deal for those who don't plan on canceling, but for others who feel uncertain or just can't pay for the subscription, you would then have to buy the DLC if you wanted to continue playing it. But oh well, I mean, if it means I can keep playing New Horizons and prevent any more deaths, I mean disappearances, then it's alright. And that is what the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack provides to the service. For $30 more, you get a library of N64 games, Sega Genesis titles, and Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise DLC. I'll be honest, when it comes to deciding a conclusion for this whole thing, we really have to answer two different but very important questions. Is this worth getting, and does this improve the online service in any way? Answering the first question, there are a lot of different ways to respond to this. For some, it's a question of, am I getting my money's worth? And the answer would easily be yes. You are getting a large library of fantastic classic titles that you can not only experience on your own, but literally play with friends online. That in itself is definitely worth the price, if you play the games. Because for others, it's a question of, am I going to make the most out of this expansion? And that depends on the person. If you're a big N64 fan, I probably assume that you will love this from the very start, and it will only get better as they add more games. Sega Genesis fans? Look, honestly, I think there's better ways to spend $30, but I mean, who knows? Maybe Genesis games are worth it. For me personally, this hasn't enticed me enough to want to continue the expansion pack membership, at least not for the moment. I like some of the games offered here, but for the most part, they aren't games I'm dying to play at the moment. And maybe my mind will change if games like Pokémon Stadium or Super Smash Bros. Get introduced, but seeing the pace Nintendo went with the SNES games, I don't think they're gonna release them anytime soon. And of course, there's still the rumored Game Boy games that may make a showing on this pack. As for Animal Crossing DLC, I mean, I already bought it, so that incentive is out of the window. And as for Sega Genesis, I have like 3 versions of Sonic 2 already. Is that a good excuse? But it's all down to the last question. Does this improve the online service? And there is only one answer, and it's no. Classic consoles being added to the service was nice to see, and I will look forward to hopefully seeing later consoles like the Game Boy Advance or the GameCube be added in some way. But we have to remember that this is not the Nintendo Switch Classic gaming service. It's the online service, and Nintendo keeps forgetting the online part of their subscription. At this moment, this online service still feels like a classics game service with the Switch's online feature just being held hostage. I think a lot of people who subscribe to the service did not subscribe because they wanted to play these classic titles. They did it because they needed to in order to play online. For people who enjoy playing games like Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they are pretty much forced to cough up an extra $20 just to be able to use the main features of the games, which was originally free in the beginning of the Switch's time. So what's the solution here? Well, they're definitely not going to make online play free again, so the next best thing is to enhance the online experience. The PlayStation and Xbox consoles all have a way of enhancing the online experience, like providing a way for players to connect and communicate with each other natively on the console. With the Switch, they expect you to use the online app to voice chat on a small selection of their games, which is quite inconvenient and also begs the question, they do know what Discord is, right? And even if we look at the things they promise to provide, like with offers and promotions, it's always the same thing. 99 player games, a 7-day trial of a random game, and classic controllers that you still have to pay for. And other than the 99 player games, which they definitely should make more of because they are surprisingly fun, these offers are not really that great. How about some discounts on actual Nintendo titles for being a member, like with the vouchers they used to have? Or at the very least, provide a discount for the game offered through the 7-day game trial after you try it out. And there are plenty other things that would make the service much better, but at the end of the day, none of it matters because all they notice is that memberships are selling. But to end on a slightly better note, there is a silver lining through all this. Since originally reviewing the Switch Online, Nintendo have actually replaced the multiplayer service system and even tested them out on the Mario Party games by adding the online feature to them. And they have shown some promising results since one of the issues of the service was literally the online itself. And slowly but surely, Nintendo will look to implement these not only to the older games, but to their new and upcoming games as well. And Nintendo keeps insisting that they are going to make improvements to the online service, which is about as true as me saying that I'm going to make an effort to actually enjoy playing Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I mean, it's not going to happen, but you never know. So at the end of it all, the Switch Online service is great for fans of NES, SNES, and N64. It's good for those who enjoy the extra perks like the 99 player games and the classic controllers, but I do have a little bit of hope that maybe the Switch Online service will actually improve eventually. I still wouldn't count on it happening before the next console, but you just never know. But until then, we all know what's going to happen to the Nintendo Switch Online video. It's just going to keep getting disliked. YouTube? YouTube? Did you get rid of the dislike button? Does this mean the online service is actually good?